All right, we're good. So let's move on to the other somewhat questionable area of the field on defense, and the fact that we've added 7 guys now to the roster in the defensive back part of the defense since the end of the Iowa game last year. So we'll start off with safety. It doesn't matter, strong side rover. I have no idea what the hell that means myself. But we'll start with you, Derrick. Who do you have as your 2 starting safeties?
This was tough. I think one spot's fairly easy with Miles Farmer. The guy's got a lot of playing time.
Yep.
He started a few games when he had just kind of when we had some injuries back there. So he was kind of my go-to guy there. The other spot, man, it's so tough. I'm gonna go with Deshaun Singleton. I think that guy brings a lot of athleticism to the table. I think he was there for the spring. He got a chance to kind of get to know things. I didn't know who else to pick, I guess. So I went with Deshaun Singleton.
Alrighty. How about at the so that's your 2 spots then? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead, Scott? Who do you have at those 2 safety spots?
So I'm going to keep following the trend of I'm going to bust some toes here, but Kane Williams, I mean, dude is a freaking athlete. He's one of those guys that when he shows up, he's not just gonna sit back and let everybody else take a job from him. That's number 2 as a starter, like a rover type guy. But yeah, of course, Miles Farmer. He seems out of all of the guys that we've got in our safety room right now, Miles Farmer stands out the most to me. And then right behind, I guess, who Kane Williams is going to be fighting a spot for, or fighting for a spot from, is going to be like Derrick said. You got Deshaun Singleton or Noah Pola Gates. I think those 2 guys are right now, aside from Kane Williams committing, those 2 guys were probably fighting for that other starting spot.
Okay.
If Isaac Gifford isn't in that nickel type of spot. But I don't know, man. Like, I have this weird, I'm going to piss off a lot of people by saying this, not just you guys, but Husker fans in general, that I hate to say it, but Alabama is what Nebraska used to be in the 90s. Like, they have the it factor. They have the grit. They have the grain. They have the, you put up or shut up. We're going to beat you into the ground and we're going to make you earn your goddamn job. And there's no fun. You're not having fun. You're not here to be a big star. You're not going to sit here and run the table and make all this Twitter following and shit. Like, we don't give a fuck. You are going to earn your goddamn. You're going to earn your goddamn.
I'm
your
just going to leave the banner up. I'm just going to leave it up.
I do feel
for the rest of the hour.
I do feel it's a little unfair because I think Scott's drinking iced tea.
Oh, absolutely he is, and I'm out of.
I think we should just chug this beer, guys.
I feel like old cats. I feel like you old cats have never been to like a new age party, because party foul taking a shot doesn't mean that everybody drinks. Like, if that were the case, everybody would be taking shit on tables. Like, then everybody would be drinking.
What kind of parties are you going to, Scott?
Party foul take a drink means the person who committed the foul has to take a drink, not everybody. I guess that would be my guess.
That is the thing. If you make a party foul,
it's
you
like
have
the
to take a
hipster
drink.
version of playing quarters.
Yeah. So I get the tea for myself.
I don't know if anybody watches this has figured this out, but the 3 of us are not hipsters.
No,
nobody will ever confuse the Cuz Cast for being hipsters.
Oh, hell no.
Oh, Tyler feels like offended by that. He's like, I'm a hipster.
He is a millennial.
Well, he's definitely got millennial tendencies, no doubt about that. I mean, he still loves Martinez.
No, so let me finish here. It's like, so somebody coming from Alabama is either going to have that mindset, or on the flip side, to give what most Husker fans and I guess most college football fans think, if you're leaving Alabama, it means you can't hang. It means you are a degenerate. You can't, meet their expectations.
No,
so you're
you
just going to
stay at Alabama if you're a degenerate. That's at least what I understand.
And so, like, when I think of a high 4-star recruit leaving Alabama, and looking for their talents to go elsewhere, especially if you're a top 200 player like Kane Williams was in 2020, or I guess for the 2021 class, he committed in 2020. I mean, he showed up. It very well could have been. He showed up and was like, yeah, this ain't for me. I'm going to go play for Nebraska. Or he showed up and was like, you know what? I could grind it out for the next 3 years, or I can go to Nebraska where they're probably going to have the same expectations from me. And maybe that's why he committed. It's because he's like, oh, okay, so it's an Alabama mindset at Nebraska right now, but I can start. I want to go through the grit and the grind, and I want to get my ass kicked day in, day out, but I can start. So that's, I guess, my thought process of why I would pick Kane Williams as probably a starter right away. Like, I think he's going to start right away just because he has too much talent to sit on the bench. And I know there's guys who've been here and they want to earn their chip. They want to do their things. But I mean, you put the best guy on the field. And if Kane Williams,
he's the best guy, yeah.
If Kane Williams is the best guy, I mean, look at his talent. The recruit talent scouts aren't giving him a high 4-star because they want to. He committed to Alabama out of Louisiana.
Johnson's still sitting the bench, and he was a 5-star coming from Ohio State. So who knows?
Yep,
I'll say this. I have a tendency to agree with you, Scott, to an extent. You don't just leave Alabama because you think you're right. You're right. The problem is the timing of it. You're coming in the summertime. Yep. I just don't know that you could take over a spot over 3 weeks of fall practice. I find it hard to believe that you can come in and do that with the guys that have been here at least one of them a lot longer. The other ones maybe at least a little longer.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I think the time that you've been here is going to play a little factor in that role.
Sure. Well,
and that could very well, yeah, I'm honestly taking like a bold prediction. I guess that would be it. Like, it's a bold prediction.
You are doing that for sure.
Yes.
It's pretty bold prediction. For sure. Pretty bold. You never know. Absolutely never know. How about you, Tyler? Do you have any kind of bold things to throw at us, or what do you think your safeties are going to be?
I mean, I do. I guess I got Miles Farmer's going to be a starter. Yeah, nothing much. I think he's going to be good. I think he'll be on par to what we expected or what we had last year with Williams and Dismuke. I think there won't be much drop off in that spot. I think the other one's going to be a little bit tougher to fill. And I'm going to go Marcus Buford. He's the guy that I have getting that start. He moved over in the fall from that corner spot. He kind of bounced around. I think he's a really good athlete. I liked him out of high school. I think that there are 4 names for that second safety spot. The challenge here is this. Similar to how I thought, hey, there could be 10, 11 guys that play on that defensive front and outside backer, defensive end, whatever you want to call it. Man, I don't think, even though there's not much of a drop off for that second safety spot, there isn't going to be many snaps to be had. And I don't want to tip my hat, but I think that this is going to get really dicey when you look at these backup safeties try to get snaps on the field. But I'm going to go Marcus Buford, just edges it out. I think he gets that starting spot.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty. My 2 are Miles Farmer and Marquise Buford Jr. And I went back and forth so many times between those 2 guys and 2 other guys that I'll talk about here in a minute. But Buford got way too much press, if you will, too many coaches talking about what he was doing to not tell me that he's really made a huge jump. Miles Farmer's got the experience. I think he's gonna, but you don't know. I mean, let's remember 1995, Terrell Farley was not the starting weak side linebacker at the beginning of the year, but 3 games in, he wasn't giving up that spot. So you never know. You never know. I got Farmer and Buford at the 2 safety spots. How about you, Justin?
So kind of like defensive tackle, defensive tackle is one of the weaker spots on defense. I think safety is the next weakest spot on defense. I have Miles Farmer penciled in as starter, and I also have Marquez Buford. But none of these guys and the guys behind them excite me very much at all. I think they're very weak for what a Shenander defense has been the last couple of years. It's a scary situation right there. I mean, Derrick.
I'm sorry, Justin. I had to listen to you for years talk about how bad Deontay Williams was. He was terrible. I mean, you thought he was the worst player that Nebraska's ever had, and now he is so you can't replace him. He's unreplaceable.
I'm glad Tyler said it.
Hey, but you know what? None of those guys beat out Williams, right?
Well, first of all, half of them are new. Williams. Half of these guys are new.
Well, I mean,
Kane Williams is new. Buford was a freshman.
So Kane Williams, I mean, that's a great story, Scott. But I mean, that guy's not going to sniff a meaningful down this year. He's too new. He didn't do anything at Alabama to make you think that he's going to come in as like, okay, yeah. He's got a good recruiting pedigree right there, but there's been nothing. He needs to learn the defense. In time, I think he has a high upside, but it's not going to be in his first year. Not this early.
Deshaun Singleton's also new.
Singleton, yeah. I don't have Singleton in my top group either. I'm just saying that it's not an impressive group of safeties that we have right now. And I tell you what, Fisher, man, he's got his work cut out for him this year at safety and at quarterback. Safety mainly.
Did Travis Fisher go from like our best coach to our worst coach?
No, I don't think so. I think he's our best coach. That's up for the challenge.
Well, he also had a lot of attrition on his roster because of all those Florida kids that decided to take off after COVID hit.
He's had a lot of misses. He's had a lot of misses recruiting.
So he's had some misses, and he's had some dudes that said, "I'm out of here."
And so my reason for the bold prediction with Kane Williams is the exact thing that you pointed out, is that we have a lot of questions that need to be answered and a lot of talent that needs to be filled with actual productivity. And if I am basing it off of, okay, who behind Miles Farmer has the highest ceiling and the most talent-filled skill set, if I were to look at everybody to include Marquise Buford, like Kane Williams is like number one. Like he has the highest talent rating of all of those guys. So if he can, he could be a developmental guy. But where the bold prediction comes in is, can he grasp the system in 3 weeks? Not likely. But if it were to be, what is the roster looking like near the end of the season where we're getting into the last 4 games, I could definitely see Kane Williams taking that job just based on, let's kind of throw him in here, see how he does, see how his game sense is at the safety spot.
I think if Frost struggles this year, I think that could be true.
Yep.
When we're headed in 8 games in and, we're 4-4 or whatever it is. Yeah. Then maybe there's going to be some changes. I don't, this is going to blow up for a future episode, but I mean, talent overall, I don't think is as great on this team as it was last year. But
on defense or the team as a whole?
As a whole.
Okay. Well, let's see. So those are your starters at safety. Everybody is giving
Buford
their starters, right? Buford and Farmer. Who are your backups there, Justin?
So Singleton, I think Singleton is that third guy. And then when it gets down to that fourth guy, I mean, you're just like picking at what's left, right? And it's Noah Pola-Gates. I haven't been impressed by Noah Pola-Gates since he's been here. I think just by the sheer fact that it's like there's nobody else there, I think he's going to be that fourth guy. But it's not a guy that I'm crazy about by no means.
Which in my mind, Justin, because I'm going to go next, which in my mind is exactly why Kane Williams is here. Because they haven't seen enough out of Pola-Gates yet to know that they can throw him out there on the field and make some difference. So I'm with you, and Deshaun Singleton being my third guy that's going to run out there is probably going to be Singleton. But my fourth guy, probably going to be Kane Williams.
Could be.
In spite of the inexperience, because I don't think Pola-Gates has shown enough that these coaches are confident that he can do what they need him to do outside of the starters. And you don't go for a kid like Kane Williams unless you think he's going to give you something better than what you already have in your room outside of the two guys you think are going to start. So I think Tyler might vehemently disagree with me.
Please
So
go to
ahead,
Tyler after this. Please go to Tyler.
Okay. So
go ahead, Tyler.
So this concept that like it is baffling that we're bringing in guys like Kane Williams that were high 4-star is a weird one to me. Let's take a step back. Why are we doing this? A very large reason why we are doing this is because we completely whiffed in our 2022 recruiting class. Like, we have a awful recruiting class and we had a ton of transfers. So I think you guys are reading like, oh my God, they got a really good recruit as a transfer. Well, who the hell do you want them to bring in? A shitty guy? Like, of course they're going to go after good recruits. Like, I mean, that's their answer of who you want them to go after. So, like, this concept that, like, well, they brought in Stephen Wynn. They have no faith in Nash Huntmaker. Or they brought in Kane Williams. They have no faith in Noah Pola-Gates. I just think that, like, they bring in guys because they want them to compete. Like, they're trying to bring in good talent. And so I don't think it's a guarantee they start.
Wynn and Williams are not even on the same page when you go after. Wynn was a graduate transfer, and Williams is like a freshman.
Again, but we had
but they've had about the same amount of playing time.
That's fine. That's fine. But you have Williams that is a developmental project that you can have him for several years. Again, Wynn is a one and done. He's one and done.
He's got 2 years left. Wynn's got 2
He has 2 years?
Yeah. He's got 2. COVID year, man. COVID year.
He's got 2.
That guy's going to be 37 when he graduates.
You get a year. You get a year. Everybody gets years.
But I say that to say, like, I mean, they brought in Omar Brown. They brought in Tommy Hill. They brought in Singleton.
Mm-hmm.
Singleton I think was actually a JUCO, but I mean they brought in. There's another JUCO they brought in at corner. They brought in guys because they had so many people leave this secondary.
Javier Morton or whatever his name was.
Morton, and they completely whiffed in the recruiting class. So who my backups are? I got NPG and Kane Williams as my backups. I got Singleton being the guy odd man out. I'll be honest though, I think we're going to rotate a little bit more at safety than we have historically. But like this is I don't know. Is this just Kane Williams? I have him fourth. I'm not convinced he sees the field. I mean, I'm not convinced he sees the field. It may be just a few snaps for NPG. Maybe we rotate a little bit more and Kane Williams gets playing time. But yeah, I think Singleton, I mean, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, okay, the gap between 2 and 5 is so minimal. Like
I have one question, Tyler. I don't mean to interrupt you, but
go ahead.
Is there a rule now that any hyphenated name in the defensive backfield we have to refer to them by their initials? Because we did that shit with CTB. God dang it! Now I did it.
Thanks, Ken.
We did that with CTB, so now we're doing NPG. We didn't call him NPG until CTB left. I'm just saying.
True. I've called. No,
well, I didn't.
The day he got
it's all about me, dude. It's all about me.
We've called him NPG.
EMC, MPG, CTB,
EMC squared,
EBD, THC.
No, Noah Pola-Gates. Sorry, I got Noah Pola-Gates. Yeah,
it's all good. It's all good. I was just messing.
Wait till we get to wide receivers. We got IGA. In the wide receivers.
We got IGA in there.
We got IGA. That's right. We got a grocery store catching passes now.
Nigga.
Isaiah Garcia Contreras.
Yeah.
We don't like IGC, so we went with
Castaneda.
IGA.
So I think we got. Are you done, Tyler, or do you
Yeah,
need to
I'm
say
done.
anything else?
I
All right.
got Noah Gates and Kane Williams. Are my
I didn't mean
backups.
to. I didn't mean
You're
to
fine.
derail you.
Does that mean we got to refer to Ativa Maga Clements as
EMC.
EMC?
That's not
EMC.
bad.
EMC.
Do you remember that band?
E equals MC
EMC?
squared. Yeah, EMC. No, because I like good music. But
It's like GNR.
GNR is good music.
I hope you bite your tongue and like half of it falls off while you're sleeping.
Who, me?
No, Tyler.
I'm just saying it was initials.
Yo,
It was like
don't-
the three.
don't ever
the-
talk-
I was gonna say,
It's
don't
the
let
three
talking to
initials.
me. You
Don't let
talking to me?
GNR pass your lips, Tyler, because you suck at
I'm
it.
just saying they're at least in the top 200 rock bands of all time. At least in the top 200.
You mean
that's
Derrick,
why
who are
you
your
need
up
backups?
to? Metallica, GNR. No, I'm kidding.
my
Go.
backups.
Scott-
Oh,
Oh
go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Go ahead, Derek.
Whatever.
Go
All
ahead,
right.
Derek.
My backups are Marquise Buford and Noah Gates. I think Kane Williams doesn't have the experience. He's got the talent. I think he could come in and kind of make a name for himself. I just don't think it's this year.
All right. How about you, Scott?
Yeah, I've got Marquise Buford, and it's like a coin toss between Pola Gates and Singleton. You know, to be, you know, like to point out my own flaw in my logic is that, well, you know, Kane Williams, high talent, blah. So is Noah Pola Gates. Technically, well, actually, literally, Pola Gates is a higher rated recruit out of high school than Kane Williams is, and he hasn't done much of anything for us up to this point. Yeah, so there is at least one pointed out flaw in my logic, but yeah, I've got if I were to do a 3 and a 4, it would probably be Buford as number 3, Singleton as number 4, and Pola Gates as 4A or 4B between those two guys. Yeah.
All righty. Sounds good. I'd say
But
Derek,
one thing I want to point out.
Derek's prostate's getting the best of him right about now. Go ahead, Tyler.
One thing that I wanted to point out is like, so Justin likes to go to this, like these defensive backs, they haven't played. Like Noah Pola Gates, he hasn't seen the field yet. Travis Fisher does not rotate defensive backs. His lack of rotation is, so I do not read into it that these guys are bums. I don't read into it these guys are not ready to step into the role. Like, I just think that he had 2 good safeties, probably not great safeties, but 2 good safeties. So yes, I'm not expecting Noah Pola Gates or these guys to just step in inherently, but I think it's just like, well, they didn't play before. Why are they going to play now? I think that's a really bad argument when it comes to secondary.
Okay. Gotcha.
Tyler's an
Gotcha.
MPG
That's fair.
apologist.
I really do
MPG.
like Noah Pola Gates. I really like Noah Pola Gates.
He likes his mom. Let's get
his
let's
mom
get it
is a
straight.
saint.
He likes his mom.
She's a sweetheart. She is a sweetheart.
He's
Does she look anywhere as good as Aiden Hutchinson's mom? I'm just asking because it seems like Jeffrey the Greek was pretty enamored with her.
giggity.
Anyway,